Behold, our remarkable planet Earth, a breathtaking expanse that inspires us with its unparalleled beauty and fuels our dreams of a bright and promising future.
Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a licensed and nationally certified Chinese medical provider and a Taoist practitioner. And today we're going to go over part 2
of just some of the weird health issues that cropped up over the last couple months.
In the first episode, I went over my symptoms and that, I thought it was just me. This episode, we're going to rehash what those symptoms were, and then we're going to talk about, hey, how do you get into your regular medicine doctor and what that might mean for you. I'm going to go over what happened when I got back into clinic because I was out of clinic for a month. And then I'm going to touch base on some of the formulas that I was using and the herbs that went in them.
There's going to be a couple more episodes after this one.
In the following episodes, we're going to go over Chinese medical theory, and I'm going to show how I got there. And even though I didn't think I was going to do it, I am going to go over the scientific research. I've set up a separate web page of the research so that I know for sure it's going to be there. Okay, let's get started. I thought it was just me.
These weird health symptoms wrapped around 3 key things. Something was going on in my throat. It was some sort of weird pestilence. It could be like globus hystericus on steroids. I felt a choking sensation. It could be laryngitis or strep, but something weird in my throat. And then my digestion went to crap and my blood pressure went through the roof. And underlying these weird health issues for some of us is this sensation that something's just not quite right. That sensation of something's just not right is really foreboding for most of my clients and myself. I felt that something really bad was going to happen. I thought for myself I was going to have a stroke. I've had other clients say they thought they were going to have a heart attack. So there's this really underlying sense of dis-ease. And so I reached out to my regular medicine doctor, and I'm really happy that I have that option because pharmaceuticals and Western medicine, what they do is they can force your body, most of the time, they can force your body to do what it doesn't want to do if you can't change what needs to be changed. And that's kind of where I was, is I couldn't figure out what needed to be changed. And so I was so distressed about how I was feeling. I felt that I had to go to that next step, that I had to take my body to that next step and check into the potential to use pharmaceuticals to get that blood pressure under control. And do you know, it was going to take a month for me to get into my doctor. The problem is I didn't think I had a month. And I know that I'm not the only one who's feeling this right now. I know that a lot of us are feeling kind of trapped with our current healthcare system and that we can't get healthcare. And that's one of the reasons why so many people move away from regular medicine and start branching out into these other areas because they don't feel like they're being heard by their doctors and they're not getting health care. Regular medicine, it is a good option, yet that month, that was going to be too long. So it left me feeling really kind of stranded, and I kind of felt like I was alone in this, and I had to go back to the drawing board and figure something out because seriously, a month, I really thought I would have a stroke in a month.
Hey, let's go film a little bit of this outdoors because this is like the first day that I don't have rain. And so I've got this very limited window to be outdoors.
You're wondering, right? What happened when I got back into clinic? The first week, about 30% of my clients had these same symptoms.
So there's 3 main symptoms. And the first is that you're going to feel this knot in your throat. And or some sort of constriction in your throat. And that can come with shortness of breath. And that shortness of breath could be going on for a long time. If you had COVID, you might have this chronic shortness of breath. And then at some point in time, you're going to get these digestive issues. And they just keep on progressing. Over a really short window of like a month, you might have had chronic digestive issues previously that you were managing. But then over this really short period of about a month, they just go insane. And suddenly there's absolutely nothing that you can eat. And it feels kind of like, your stomach's acting like you have the flu, but you don't have any symptoms of the flu. It's just that you have this chronic nausea whenever you eat something. And then the last symptom is you start to experience high blood pressure. And that blood pressure is kind of out of control. So those are the three symptoms. And they cascade in a rapid, in kind of a short window.
Let's talk about the formula that I ended up using. And please be aware, this is not medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So talk with your medical provider. This is anecdotal information that may or may not be relevant. I used a formula that's a combination of 3 formulas that I used at the beginning of this pandemic with that alpha variant. And that's the formula Jingfei Paiduan. And you've heard a lot about this formula because that was the formula that was used worldwide with the first few variants, the alpha, the beta, and the delta. Here's a link to the episode that I did when I was talking about this formula back at the beginning of the pandemic. It starts at about 20 minutes. So go there if you want to get the breakdown of these formulas. But since that time, these 3 formulas have been combined into one formula called Qingfei Baiduan. The formula that I'm using is modified. It does not have Ma Wang in it, which is a good thing because you can't take Ma Wang for a long period of time, and you actually need to take this formula for a long time. And really talk with your medical provider when you're doing this because Chinese formulas work completely different than pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals, a lot of times they're blocking action in the body. Chinese medicine does the exact opposite. It encourages movement in the body. So it is, in this situation, it is going to be pulling whatever that pathogen is, it's going to be pulling it up and out of your body. And in this situation, there is going to be a ton of mucus that is going to want to pull up and kick out of your body. So let me tell you what happened to me so you can understand why I say work with someone and go slow. I started taking it and it really worked really well immediately. And I could feel it starting to loosen up that knot in my throat, which of course had me totally motivated to be more aggressive with the formula. And I did. I got much more aggressive with the formula. And all of a sudden I felt that phlegm in my throat start coming up. And that's when things went a little bit sideways. All of a sudden, my face was full of mucus. My nose was pouring. I couldn't make it stop. I'd stand up and all of a sudden, all this fluid would start coming out of my nose. It was coming out of my ears. It was leaking out of my eyeballs. It was coughing up through my throat. I was spitting phlegm everywhere. And it was so much phlegm that suddenly it was too much for my sinuses. And all my sinuses started getting stuffed up and painful. So I had to stop this. And I went for the antihistamines. Now, these formulas that I'm going over in this episode, they've been really helpful in my clinic. So this is anecdotal information. They've helped with about 70% of the symptoms. Yet if you're still dealing with issues with, that spike protein, and you still need to elevate your health journey with additional training to unlock that stronger and fitter version of yourself. And you need to gain additional knowledge and skills and guidance to help you reach your wellness goals faster and more effectively. I've got an additional training. I worked with other providers around the country and went through all the current research on the spike protein and came up with a supplement regime that I'm using in clinic. I'll go over the brands. I'll go over the doses. I will go over why I chose these. I mean, there's a lot out there on what you can use to help you with the symptoms that come with that. I will go over why I use these and the order in which I use them. And that can help you reach your goal faster and more effectively. So there should be a link up here in the corner of the video, or there'll be a link at the end of the video if you need to continue on your wellness journey. And it will also include the antihistamines I was using and why I was using those antihistamines. So I hope that helps you out. Okay, so back to the formulas. I married Qingfei Baiduan with one other formula for that nausea that you're feeling, and that's going to be this formula. And this one, again, talk with your medical provider. One of the things that I noticed is when it came to clients who were using pharmaceuticals, some of this had to be modified. I actually had to go to different digestion formulas just because of what the pharmaceuticals were doing to their constitution. How did this turn out? Well, I can tell you it's turning out really pretty well. I can tell you for myself, within a week, my blood pressure was down. It wasn't completely normalized. It took me about 3 weeks for my blood pressure to normalize. And then it took another week for me to stop hearing my heartbeat or feeling the palpitations and tightness in my chest. So this worked really well for me. It's working really well for my clients. And it's something that I think might really help you as you're working through these weird health issues that are coming up right now. So reach out to your healthcare provider and see if this can be something that can help you. Now, the main thing that I did was this formula, and I thought it was kind of surprising that I was going back to a formula that the last time I used it was with that alpha variant. But I also married in a number of other things based on the science out there today, based on what people have found that really help support rebuilding my system. Because let me tell you, if this has anything to do with that spike protein, that really weakens your body. And you really have to be patient and take your time recovering from that. I'll put a link at the end of this video. So if you want to learn more about some other things that you can do to help you recover, check that video out. And if you're at that point where you're like, I hear you, but I don't know if I can find someone around me who can help me with this, and I'd like to work with you on that, well, there'll be a link at the end of this video where you can schedule your working session with me. I think I have 2 more episodes on this. And if you're a Chinese medical provider and you're like, how did you get there? I'll go over that in the next episode where I'll go over the Chinese diagnostics and how I was able to back into this formula. Because you're right, there were no real symptoms of such a serious lung infection. And then what I will do is the episode after that, I'll go through all the science because I had some hypothesis on why this could be happening, and I really didn't think there was going to be any science out there that would support this. There is actually a lot of science suddenly coming up right now, and so I'll share with you some of that stuff, and that'll give you, more food to think about. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I'm at the end of this. I think I made it 80% through this. But you know what? I still feel pressure in my head at times, and I'm not quite sure. I haven't quite figured out how to address that last piece of it and the brain fog. I have some slight brain fog, which I really don't like. And so I'm working on how do I address that, and we'll see how that goes, okay? Okay, you guys, thanks for coming out. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this really helps you. It's a really weird time right now. And until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.